Give and Go has a new line of merch, a new season, new arrivals. We created like over 5 designs that I think are really, really cool. I try to come up with designs that, even football's fashionistas would like to wear, like the Hector Bellerin would like wearing, man. Honestly, one of football's top fashionistas. I hope to see him one day in this merch, but guys, I just want to promote it because, it helps out the channel a lot when you guys purchase our merch. It means a lot to us. So we revamped the website. It's looking good. Go ahead and explore it. See the About Me section. Learn more about us. But then also check out the merch, man. Pick out any design you like. We have so many different options, so many different colors. So go ahead and check it out at the link below, thegivengoshow.com. You'll easily navigate the website straight to merch, and you'll see all the designs there. So hope you guys will check that out. And if you don't, man, I appreciate you guys just watching this show and always supporting us regardless. Welcome to the Give and Go. This is Reynoso here with my co-host
Soltero. What's up, guys?
And it truly has been a long time, man. Yeah. Honestly, when you think about it, since we've just sat down and talked football, dude, to between each other and also the people that watch us at home, man.
That's exactly what I was thinking about when I was driving to the studio today, man. I was like, since we started the deep dives about the 32 nations of the World Cup so early, man, we haven't just talked club football without an eye on the World Cup in months, man, and so long. So I'm excited for today, man. Yeah, I'm itching for it, man. Let's talk footy. Let's talk some football.
Last time we had Augustine on deck with us, which was great to have. Shout out to him from DFO. But that was a more tailored conversation towards what happened, which is you being in an Argentina jersey for the next 9 shoots now. I think this is shoot number 2 out of 10, brother. So you still got a while to go. But all in all, man, we're past the World Cup and now we're getting back into form with club football, man. And I want you to start us off. Where do you want us to go, man? Let's envision a map here. Where do you want to go in world football? What do you want to talk about? What realizations have you had? How you feeling, man?
Well, I want to go to Turin, Italy, where the biggest headline coming maybe a week ago stating that Juventus have been docked 15 points due to fraudulent bookkeeping at the end of the day.
Yes, dude. I guess. They got cheap accountants, bro.
They got cheap accountants, man. But we could go so many different places here. But once I figured out, because I wanted to figure out why. Why are they truly getting 15 points docked? Because that's a lot.
Dude,
when you really, it's a shit ton, man. So much so that they might not even be able to recover as far as like maybe getting that last Champions League spot. They'll have the team to do it for sure. But they're going to have to like win every game essentially to climb back up for sure. I think they can do it, but my God, man, what a setback. If you're the coach, if you're any of the players, you're just like, God damn it. We had already started with a shaky start to the season, but then we figured it out. Yeah, they figured it out, and they were climbing up that table, getting up towards second, third place, and then boom, docked 15 points. Dude. Now they're back to the depths of mid-table Serie A.
But dude, imagine if they hadn't found that run, though. Dude, they would have been in the relegation zone now, man.
Oh, shit. That's true. Oh, my God.
This could have gotten really dark.
Yeah, this could have gotten really, really dark. But hearing this truly just pissed me off, man, because the way I see the European landscape from like a financial and competitive level, it's with stuff like this, man, where teams are having to do low-key illegal things just to remain competitive.
Yeah.
Because that, at the end of the day, is what this is all about. And for the viewers who maybe haven't done the research on it, I want to break it down very, very easily here. So basically what Juventus have done is what most big European clubs do to this day. They amortize. So let's say you buy a player for $20 million, but he signs a 5-year contract. In that year, you can actually say you only lost $4 million. Even though in the long term, you're going to lose 20 because that's how much you're going to pay in the long run. But within that 12-month span, to the financial people, you can just say, no, we only spent $4 million on this guy, right? But if you sell a player for $20 million, you can claim that you made $20 million. So at the end of the day, on that year, you can say you actually have a $16 million profit, when in reality, you're actually neutral.
Right.
But that's a huge difference, man.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference. And a lot of teams do this. That's not what Juventus are necessarily getting docked for, but it's something similar. So what Italian clubs love to do, and Juventus specifically, they do player swaps. So they'll talk to another Italian club and they'll be like, look, we have this player, you have your player, let's trade them. It's basically a trade. But here's what Juventus do to make it more favorable with their accounting, is when they get the player in the swap deal, even though no money was transferred, they take the value of the player and say they profited that much. So if they traded for a player and the player that they got was worth $50 million, even though they didn't sell a player for $50 million, they still said they gained $50 million. So at the end of the bookkeeping year, their profits probably look insane.
Yeah.
The thing is, with financial fair play, it's required for you to be in some sort of level of healthy debt or in a profit margin. So with those player swaps, let's say you're in a really, really huge debt, Juventus can just say, look, we just gained a player who's worth 100 mil, so we're no longer in debt. But that's borderline fraudulent. Where it gets really gray, bro, the gray area here is that the only reason why Juventus specifically are getting targeted here is because the courts have hard evidence of the board members basically scheming together saying, yeah, we're going to get this player. We're going to use a subjective value to raise our profits. That's the only reason why Juventus are getting docked here, is because there is hard evidence of like a wiretapped phone call. But that's it. If they did not have that evidence,
They got sloppy, bro.
they got sloppy with
Damn.
it. If there wasn't that evidence, they would have gotten away with it because they've been getting away with it. That's the thing. But you know what? I'm not even worried about all of those semantics or why Juve got docked in general. What really pisses me off was the first point I made, in the sense that clubs all around Europe outside of the Premier League are struggling financially, man. Barcelona were in the same goddamn situation at the beginning of the season. Do you remember when like half of their new transfers weren't even registered a day before the league was supposed to start? Well, what they ended up doing is they sold the like Barca coin, essentially. They cashed out their digital company that they owned. They cashed it out, sold like 40% of the company to another company, just so they could say that they made money and that they were in a profit margin. And then, by bookkeeping fact, they could register their new players, even though in reality, they're in heaping loads of debt. So, but that's what Barcelona have come to. They had to do that. Why? Because they weren't getting in consistent Champions League spots, because they were no longer becoming relevant in the European landscape, and low-key, because they weren't even winning La Liga, bro. So they had no choice. It was either that or remain in mediocrity in mid-table Spain. But you can't do that if you're Barcelona. You can't. You're one of the bigger clubs in the world. So what do? Well, you buy Rafinha. You pay for Lewandowski's salary. You get Ferran Torres. You get Frank Kessie from AC Milan, even though you're in major debt. That's the only way. You got to just buy players. And Juventus are in a similar situation where, look, they just got to look for anything that they can and try to buy as many players as they can and just entice top talent to come to their club. But it's tough for them if they're not making the same type of money as, let's say, a Real Madrid or a lot of Premier League clubs, bro. But this is where it gets really, really weird for me, is that where does this go from here, man? The more that I really think about it, I really do understand why Barca's president, Atletico's president, Juve's president were so for the Super League, the European Super League, because at the end of the day, if you're in La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, League One, if you don't have oil money from the Middle East, you're not competing with the top 10 teams in the Premier League financially. Because let's isolate all of those other leagues and just look at the Premier League, bro. Dude, they make so much money, man. They're essentially franchised in the sense that if you're a mid-table Premier League, you're probably guaranteed bags at the end of the season.
Man. No, yeah.
Bags.
From a business point of view.
From a business point of view.
Incredible.
Regardless of how you perform, if you're like in that 7th to 12th place, you're going to make a lot of money. And if you get a Champions League spot and you're in the Premier League, you're set. I mean, look at Chelsea. And this has been, these reports have been going for the last 2 weeks since they just got Joao Felix on loan. Have you seen how much Chelsea have spent in the last 2 seasons? It's disgusting. It makes me want to vomit when I see the amount of money that they spend. No, and they're not done either.
Yeah, they're not done.
They're not done.
Close to
they're
done,
gonna keep spending. But you know why? Because they can. They can't, like, their booking, like, they have so much profit. They're like, fuck it. Let's spend $500 million because at the end of the day, we're going to make it back.
Yeah, we can make it back.
Within, like, 12 months.
Man. That's crazy to me, though. Like, I think I saw a number that said that what Chelsea has spent just this past winter transfer window is more than Ligue 1, Bundesliga, La Liga, and Serie A combined, dude. It's ridiculous.
It's so bad.
How big it's becoming. The Premier Super League is officially in full effect, in my opinion.
Yes, that is exactly where I'm going with this, in the sense that, like, the Premier League have now the perfect package. They don't have to compete financially with any other league, because somehow, some way, they've already created the Super League within their own English territory. So it's scary if you're outside of the Premier League. But if you're if you're an English club, man, God is the future looking really bright, man. Oh my God. And like, and I know it's been like this for a while. So, for example, Manchester City obviously having that Qatari connection money-wise. But it's extending to the rest of the Premier League. I mean, Barcelona bought Rafinha from Leeds. That means Leeds, when they got promoted to the Premier League, had the money to buy Rafinha, entice him to come to Leeds United, and also pay him a high salary. It's crazy. So if you're anywhere in that top 10, top 12 in the Premier League, you probably have more money than you probably have more money than like a handful of clubs around Europe.
Which is great. We've never been in a footballing landscape where it's to that level, man. We might see Barcelona not be able to keep up unless a Super League actually does end up happening.
That's kind of low key what I'm getting at, in the sense that, like, I asked the question, what do other teams do? I think they're just going to keep pushing for the Super League. I really do. Now, do I want that? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I really don't. I think
a year ago, no, man.
If you asked me this, fuck it. Let's even go a year ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. If you asked me that, I would have given you a resounding no. I don't want the European Super League. The more that I see the Premier League grow, and the more that I see big teams outside of the Premier League struggle financially, or at least to just entice the world's best talent to come to their team, I'm just like, maybe the Super League is the solution. Maybe not in the exact way they want it, but I think more so, I'm just asking for change, I think. I may not be asking for the Super League in its exact title that it comes with, in the exact package that they're selling it, but I am asking for some sort of regulation at the end of the day. Some sort of transfer regulation. And I know if you're any person outside of the USA, you are immediately thinking that I don't watch soccer or that I don't understand footballing tradition. You're completely incorrect if you are making that assumption. I've thought a lot about this, man. But the more that I think about it, just the less competitive I see mid-table teams getting outside of the Premier League. The Premier League is a fantastic package as a sporting league. But the more that I watch mid-table La Liga teams, the more that I watch mid-table Serie A and Bundesliga teams, I'm just like, shit, man. There's going to come a time where they just can't even compete within their own league anymore. Because there used to be a time where, like Atletico, especially, just even 5 years ago, Atletico, Real Sociedad, Valencia, Athletic Bilbao, all had good cores of players that could actually compete with one another. Now, of course, Barcelona and Real Madrid were still really, really good, but I just thought the football was a lot more competitive back then. And I'm just talking even 5 years ago. But right now, with the way that money's churning these clubs, man, I think just the gap is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. How do you fix that? Again, I don't have the solution. I just think it has to do something with regulation, or something with the idea that, like, I don't know, what if you just cut off like the big teams, and again, this gets wild, but what if you just cut off like Chelsea's spending spree at like 300 mil? Something ridiculous, but you still gave them some sort of regulation, right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you're a team let's say you're Burnley and you get promoted. Yes, you still have a lot of money because you're in the Premier League, but you're in the same league and you don't have the same rules being applied to you because Chelsea have 10x your budget. So how can you compete if you don't even have the same financial rules being applied to you? I don't understand that. And I know that's just the state of modern football, and it's the state of football for the last, 50, 60 years. I do get that. But with how much talent is out there, if the big teams just keep gobbling them up, then what's left for the rest of the clubs? You know, and I know I'm maybe picturing a dire situation because I don't think it is that right now. I'm just saying in 10 years, if it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I think we're going to see a product that we're just ultimately not happy with.
And my perspective is pretty pessimistic when it comes to finances and football. I almost feel like it's a puzzle that can't be solved. I think that the landscape of it, the financial landscape in world football is too complex, too fluid to be regulated at times. Or at least I haven't seen anything that comes close to that, because you think of different leagues like the NBA or the NFL, or at least the gap between the least financially successful and the most financially successful club isn't that big.
Right.
It isn't 10, 20 times what you make. It's close enough to where you can have regulations, and if a question comes into play, then the commissioner can step in and actually do something about it, fiddle with it, and just fix the situation. But with world football, dude, with European football specifically, when you're comparing a team like Reims from France against fucking PSG, well, then what do you do, man? Like, what truly is the situation? What truly is the regulation you can put in place where, you know, is it a certain number that you cut off a team at in terms of their spending like you propose?
Right.
Is it based on a percentage? Because financial fair play, I just don't think does it. I just don't think it figures it out, especially when a team like Chelsea can get away with doing what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
Showcases that there's something wrong with the system, bro. There's something wrong. And so let's restructure this thing. The thing is, I have no idea how, bro. I really don't, because I do think it's such a complex thing to figure out. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm pessimistic when it comes to the whole idea of money and football, because it takes away from the beauty and from the passion and the love that I have for the sport.
Yeah, no, I love that you said that, because you're right. I mean, the transfer market in world football might be one of the most like fluid markets as far as like what goes on and what can go on.
Yeah.
It's like, for as European the sport of soccer is, the way they do the finances is very American.
Oh, shit.
It's super free market. If you have more money, you're going to win. You can essentially build monopolies just based off of your brand, your outreach to just global fans. And then from there, if your bags keep stacking, you keep winning. And it's the opposite. If you're a small, low-level club, man, it's almost impossible for you to reach a level like that. Yeah. It actually is impossible. But it's because there are no regulations. It simply is a free market where you can, and people do anything, man. And it gets a little frustrating because, you know, you could think, what can you do? And I'm actually with you. I don't think you can do anything about it. I stand with you pessimistically in that sense. I don't have a solution here. I'm just pointing out that something's fucked up here. That's it. Yeah. I don't have any sort of solution. What is interesting is that you talked about the NFL and NBA. Well, the MLS actually runs itself the same way as the NFL and the NBA, in the sense that every club is actually franchised and the league is regulated. Now, obviously, there still is some disparity, just like in the NBA and NFL. For example, LAFC have a bigger draw, but that's just because they're in a bigger market. It's Los Angeles. But you still have teams like Houston Dynamo being able to get good South American talent and pay their salaries. Even though when you go to a Dynamo game, bro, it's empty. It's empty.
Yeah.
But which means they're just not getting anywhere near the same amount of immediate profit as, for example, a team like LFC or even Austin FC, but they still somehow have the finances to try to compete.
To Hector Herrera, for example.
Exactly, bro. And so I actually argue that in football, there is a really good example of regulation, and it is the MLS. And I know if you don't watch the MLS, you're going to be laughing your ass off right now because you have no perspective of what the MLS is as a league. But if you truly know what the MLS is and what they've able to accomplish over the last 20 years, it's really, really impressive. I mean, the multi-billion-dollar deal they just made with Apple is going to change the sport again here in America. The only direction I see the MLS going is up, bro. Every club is just going to achieve a higher value financially, and the league as a whole, regardless if you're Houston or Seattle, is going to grow in a positive direction, man. And so I argue there is a way to regulate, but to do it in an environment such as Europe that has been doing it this way for over 80 years, man, that's tough to change. And I'm not saying the whole situation's easy, because it's not. We've already pointed that out. I'm just saying, man, if if someone could band together and try to maybe even regulate it. Because what I don't like about the Super League is that it's only the big clubs. That's what I don't like about it, right? The big clubs are trying to franchise and maintain relevancy financially. But if they could include everybody, Mallorca, Osasuna,
Yeah.
Empoli,
Nottingham Forest.
yeah, just all of these low financial clubs, if they could include everybody, I think regulation actually would be the answer. And once again, I know if you're South American or if you're European, it sounds like a crazy, crazy solution. But I'm telling you, man, 10 years on, if this situation just keeps going, man, it's going to be the Premier League and nobody else.